Okay, so today's topic will be the liver, right? Whenever you will get any doubt or any problem or any issue with the technical problem, please you uh, ask me, right? So today we'll cover the liver, right? As you know, this liver, that is the very largest abdominal organ, no, that is present in our just below to the diaphragm, and this is very huge. Uh, you can say it is a glandular organ, right? It is a huge glandular organ that is present in our body. If you compare to the other glands, right? The liver is the largest gland, okay, and it is belongs to which system? Mainly your GI system, right? Your gastrointestinal system, right? So, how we'll see from the uh, mm, anterior abdominal wall how the liver is present and what is the exact location of the liver, that is we have to know first, right? That is the location. Fine. So what we'll find, there is the presence of the Gifford process over here, right? And you'll find the body of the sternum, okay. Then there is the presence of your, what is that, your coastal cartilage, right? Like this you will find. So the coastal cartilage are, that is from this side you will find 12 coastal cartilage, this side you will find 12 coastal cartilage, right? And at this point, this is the epigastric region. So we'll draw two longitudinal line, okay. That is, one is your lateral line that is crossing uh, from the mid clavicular point, okay. That is from if this is the clavicle, okay. So from the mid clavicular point to the inguinal ligament, right? Here you will find the inguinal ligament from ASIS to, what is that, your pubic tubercle, right? So mid inguinal point over here, make a point, and mid clavicular point, make a point over here. Then you just join, okay. Like that, this side also you join, right? Two lines, longitudinal line. Then another line we have to draw, that is a transpyloric line, no. You'll find the transpyloric line, and here you will draw another line, that is your transtubercular line, okay. So this is your transpyloric line, okay. And this is your transtubercular. You know about the transtubercular? the
Yes,
the
sir.
tubercle of the iliac crest, right? So these two lines, that is the important. Now uh, this region is your hypochondriac region. So this is your right and this is your left, right? This is your hypochondriac because it is present just beneath the chondrium, means the cartilage, no. Okay, so this one will be the sorry, okay. So this one will be the hypochondriac region, but that is left side, right? And here you'll find the umbilicus over here, right? So this whole region is the umbilical region, okay. And this is your lumbar region, right lumbar and the left lumbar. This is your iliac region, right iliac region and the left iliac region. And this is your epigastric region, okay. And this is your hypogastric region, okay. This is your hypogastric, okay. So epigastric, just below to the Gifford process, and hypogastric, that will be just below to the, what is that, umbilicus region over here, no. Okay, now we'll see the position of the liver, right? So actually the liver that 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 covers the right lumbar region, okay, and that uh, covers the epigastric region, okay, also that is going towards the left hypochondriac region, okay, and here it also covers whole of the right hypochondriac region, okay. So this is the position of the liver, okay. That means it extends from the sixth costal cartilage, okay, to the 10th costal cartilage, okay, from the sixth costal cartilage to 10th costal cartilage at the right side, okay. And here at the left side, this liver that occupies from the 7th costal cartilage to 8th costal cartilage, okay. Right side, it extends from 6th costal cartilage to 10th costal cartilage. The left side, it covers the 7th costal cartilage to 8th costal cartilage, and the mid part, okay, between the right and left, whatever present here at the epigastric region, that is just present behind this xiphoid process, right, at the level of T12, okay. This is the T12 region, right. So, because the transpyloric line uh, that is going through the L1 vertebra, right? So here is the T12 vertebra. Okay. So this is the extension of the liver that we have to see, right? Now, so as you know that it is very largest gland of the body, means about 2.5% of the body weight. Okay, 2.5% of the body weight. That means what? It is about you can say 1500 gram on an average. Okay, but it varies from 1.2 kg to 1.6 kg. Okay, it varies from person to person. Minimum it should be 1.2 kg. Okay, and maximum it should be 1.6 kg. But we are taking the average weight of the liver, that is 1500 gram. Okay, and this liver, as you know that it receives blood, mainly 25% of the cardiac output. Okay, that means the oxygenated blood, total body oxygenated blood 25%, that is going towards this liver, right, 25%. And another 75%, that is the venous blood, no. So that is no doubt that will be the deoxygenated blood, but that will be the highly nutritious blood, right, because that coming from the GI system, right. So GI system, after observing the nutrition from the GI tract, okay, the venous blood return not direct to the heart, but they are going through the liver to the heart, right. So we'll get the 75% of venous blood, okay, and 25% of the cardiac output, the pure oxygenated blood, but they don't have the proper nutrition, right. But in the late fetus, this liver that will serve as a hematopoietic organ. Okay, what do you mean by hematopoietic? Anybody? Hematopoietic organ, that means what? Blood.
Reduction of blood cells.
Yes, very good. Okay, so initially it will help as a hematopoietic organ. Okay, but after the fetus become child or toddler, no, at that time your bone marrow that will work. Okay, so what we'll see initially, the fetus liver, that is actually 5%, 5% of the total body weight. Okay, If the fetus is suppose 1 kg, then 5% of 1 kg, that will be the weight of that liver, because this liver is, it is just developing very fastly, okay, than the other organs. Okay, that's why the liver that pushes the spleen, pushes this stomach towards the left side, right? And in mainly in adult, where you'll find the liver will present at the right hypochondriac region, epigastric region, okay, and the left hypochondriac region. But some part that may comes towards that that is coming towards the right lumbar region. Fine. So this liver, it is actually wedge shaped, no? It is wedge shaped, but this is a wedge, no? One of the wedge shape, right? So this is wedge shaped organ, right? So this wedge shaped organ has only one border, okay? This is the only one border. What is that? That is known as the inferior border, okay? We'll find only the inferior border, okay? No other borders are present. Only one prominent border, that is the inferior border, okay? And it has actually it has two surfaces. One is your diaphragmatic surface, that is visible from the anterior side, and another is the visceral surface, that is present inferiorly, okay? That we'll see in a while, right? So in normal individual, the inferior border of the liver, that should not be palpable, okay? Remember this thing, okay? The normal, in normal people, the inferior border, that should not be palpable, because it should be in between the 10th rib, right? So it should be above to the 10th rib or just nearer to the 10th rib, right? So if you will you will just press, the patient will be in supine lying position, okay, and if you will press your fingers to downward then upward, then you can feel this inferior border, okay? But in case of hepatomegaly, when the liver cirrhosis will be there, or when the liver will be enlarged, right, at that time you can palpate this in inferior border without pressing your finger downward and upward, okay? Because as I told you, this inferior border, it should not cross to the 10th rib, okay, in normal people. If it is palpable, then it has the abnormality, right? Okay. So now we'll see the surfaces, right? So as you have seen, this is your liver, okay? So this liver, and here you'll find a notch over here for the gallbladder, then you'll find another notch, no, for the falciform ligament, then this liver is going like this, right? So this is the liver which you can see from the anterior side, okay? And at this point you will find the area for the gallbladder, right? Just I will show you, okay? So here you will find the area for the gallbladder, right? So this is the fossa or the notch, okay? That is for the gallbladder, okay? And here you will find a notch over here, and this notch, that is actually gives attachment to the a folds of peritoneum, okay? This folds of peritoneum is known as your falciform ligament, okay? What is this ligament? This ligament is known as your falciform ligament, okay? Falciform ligament, right? So this falciform ligament, that actually connects from the anterior abdominal wall to the anterior surface of the liver, clear? And this falciform ligament, that also extends downward, and at the inferior part of this falciform ligament, here you will find a structure, no, and that structure is present here at the inferior part of your falciform ligament. Okay, and this ligament will known as your ligamentum teres hepatis. Okay, what is this known as? Ligamentum teres. Okay, this is R. Teres hepatis. So this orange color, that is the falciform ligament. So this falciform ligament is nothing but the folds of peritoneum. Okay, which peritoneum that will be? That will be the visceral or parietal? Parietal peritoneum. Okay, so the parietal peritoneum from the anterior abdominal wall to anterior surface of the liver, that connects over here. Okay, that is known as a falciform ligament, and that holds this liver in its proper place. Okay, anteriorly. Okay, and this falciform ligament that anatomically divides this liver into two lobes. Okay, this one is the large 5/6 portion of the liver, that is your right lobe, and 1/6 portion of the liver, that will be your left lobe. Okay, so anatomically we have only two lobes present. Okay, that is the right lobe and the left lobe. Okay, but you know that there is the presence of one at the inferior surface. There is the presence of one lobe, that is known as your quadrate lobe. Okay, just I have drawn here, but it is not visible from anterior side. It is present at the visceral surface. Okay, and here at this point you will find another lobe. Okay, that is in chordate shape. Okay, so that will be the chordate lobe. Okay, so this chordate lobe and the quadrate lobe, they are actually the part of your right lobe of the liver. Okay, and in between these two lobes, here you will find a area, right, and this area will be known as your porta hepatis. Okay, that will be known as your porta hepatis, right. So this is, in this way you can divide the liver into four lobes, but anatomically we have only the two lobes, that is the right lobe and the left lobe, and the quadrate lobe and the chordate lobe, they are actually the part of your right lobe. Fine. Now, in most of the liver, okay, that is actually covered by the peritoneum, that you know, right. So that's why this liver is actually the intraperitoneal organ. Okay, this is intraperitoneal organ. That means whole of this liver, that will be covered by the peritoneum, except some of the areas that we will discuss and that you know also, right. So this falciform ligament that attaches to the liver, okay, to both of the structures, to the liver and to the anterior abdominal wall. Okay, but this liver, it is actually covered by a capsule. Okay, a capsule. That capsule is known as your Gleason's capsule. Okay, what is that? Gleason's capsule. That is made up of the connective tissue. Okay, so this Gleason's capsule that surrounds whole of the liver is a strong connective tissue. Okay, this is a strong connective tissue. Okay, and this connective tissue, Gleason's capsule, that is actually innervated by your, what is that? Spinal nerve. Okay, spinal nerve, right. That's why this capsule, it is actually pain sensitive, but liver, that is not pain sensitive. Okay, because that will be innervated by our sympathetic and parasympathetic, that will discuss later on, right. So this liver that receives venous blood returning from what is that? Your portal vein over here, right? Here, here you'll find the portal vein over here, right? Whole this is your portal vein. Okay, so the portal vein means what? This portal vein, it commences when the splenic vein, right? Here you'll find the splenic vein, and you'll find the superior mesenteric vein, right? So the superior mesenteric vein and the splenic vein, they just united together and they form here the portal vein. Okay, but the splenic vein, it also receives blood from the inferior mesenteric vein. Okay, so it receives blood from inferior mesenteric vein. That means inferior mesenteric vein will drain to splenic vein. This is your splenic vein. Okay, and the splenic vein and the superior mesenteric vein, both they united together and they will form the portal vein. Right, this is your portal vein. Okay, right. Now the venous blood, that is actually the product of your what? Product of your GI system? No, that is product of your digestion, right? Especially the fats, right? So fat digestion and whatever the nutrition you have taken, right? All they return towards this portal vein. Okay, and here you know that this liver that helps in also the metabolic activities. Okay, and this liver is the storehouse of your glycogen. Okay, liver is the storehouse of glycogen, and it produces the bile, right? And again, this bile, it also helps in digestion. Clear? Now we'll see that this yes, any question?
Sir, could you repeat that glycogen point once again?
Yes, the liver, it stores glycogen. Okay, it stores glycogen. Okay, and through this glycogen, your what is that? Your bile production also stimulates, right? So this liver, it produces the biles and it stores the glycogen, right? And bile, it helps in digestion. That is only. Okay, because detail you will study in,
Okay, sir.
you will study in physiology. No need to be study here, right? Okay. Now,
Can you, sir?
yes.
Sir, can you explain the spinal nerve part? I didn't understand that.
I'll come to that point during the innervation, but you just remember here, this liver, it is actually covered by the, what is that? Glycans capsule. Okay, so what is this Glycans capsule? Glycans capsule is nothing but the strong connective tissue. Okay, this is the strong connective tissue, and this Glycans capsule, it is actually innervated by the spinal nerve. Okay, that spinal nerve that will coming from your T6 to, what is that? T11. Okay, they will be from T6 to T11. Clear? That's why this Glycans capsule or the covering of the liver, that is actually pain sensitive. Okay, but the liver itself, that is not pain sensitive, because it is innervated by the sympathetic, okay, nerves and the parasympathetic nerve, right? So the sympathetic nerve, that will come from the celiac plexus. Okay, they will come from the celiac plexus, and the parasympathetic, they will come from the vagus nerve. Okay, so how they are coming, that we will study in our end of the lecture. Clear?
Oh, yes, sir.
Okay. Now we'll see the surfaces and the borders, right? Okay. Right. So in so many books it has written so many things. Okay. But just we'll see what is the thing. If whatever written in book, that is correct also. But what we are saying in point of your clinical point of view, right? So we'll have two surfaces. Okay. One is your diaphragmatic surface, and another is your, what is that, visceral surface, right? So the diaphragmatic surface, that means whatever it is related to the diaphragm, that is your diaphragmatic surface, right? So as you know that just above to this liver there will be the presence of your, what is that, your diaphragm is over here, right? And at this diaphragm you will find the so many ligaments, no, that is attaching to this liver, right? In this way, right, to the liver. Fine. So what is this ligament? Here you will see that at the diaphragmatic surface, that is right side, you will find the here a ligament in a triangular shape. Okay, so that will be known as your right triangular ligament. And here this portion, this is actually by another ligament, that is your left triangular ligament. And here you will find these ligaments, they are the coronary ligament. Okay, so how they are forming? See, as you know about the peritoneum, right? So the peritoneum, that actually what is that, parietal peritoneum, that ascends upward, okay, and that is going towards the liver. It covers to the anterior surface of the liver, then it is covering to the superior surface of the liver, okay, and at this point it makes the reflection towards the diaphragm, right? So for that reason we will have to see the sagittal section, right? Suppose here you will find the liver, this is the sagittal section. Just below you will find the stomach, and here you will find the your transverse colon. Here you will find the presence of duodenum, and here you will find presence of your small intestine. Okay, so this is your anterior abdominal wall. Okay, and this is your posterior abdominal wall. Clear? Now what happens? The parietal peritoneum, that ascends upward, okay, here in this form, and at this point what you will find, there is the presence of your diaphragm. Okay, this is your diaphragm, right? So the parietal peritoneum, that ascends upward and that is going towards this liver, okay, then it returns back, right? It returns back. So when it returns back, it forms your, what is that, visceral peritoneum. And this visceral peritoneum, that is covering to the anterior surface, that is covering to your inferior surface, then that will go towards the greater curvature of the stomach. This is stomach, right? And that covers to this greater curvature of the stomach, then that is reflecting back towards downward, then again it comes upward and covering to the inferior surface of the, what is that, transverse colon, and at this point you will find the presence of the spleen also. Okay, you will find the presence of spleen. So this peritoneum, okay, that is going in inferior to the transverse colon, then it is going towards the spleen, right? And it returns back like this, that means it is just covering only the anterior part of the duodenum, then it is going towards the small intestine, covering to the small intestine in this way, then going backward. Okay, then it forms your parietal peritoneum, right? So here you'll see that when this parietal peritoneum descends upward, here it connects with this, what is that, diaphragm. Okay, now this part is this part, right? So this is your what? This is your coronary ligament. It is corona, means not corona COVID-19. Corona means crown shape. No, coronary ligament. Okay, and this side you will find the folds of peritoneum that connects from the liver to the diaphragm. That will be the right triangular ligament. Okay, and this will be your left triangular ligament. Fine. So these three ligaments.
The right triangular ligament is also called as the dextrum, right?
Yes, yes. Okay, so here we will find this. This is another ligament. What is this ligament? Falciform ligament. Okay, and at the inferior pre-margin of the falciform ligament, here you will find another ligament. No, that is the ligamentum teres hepatis. This is nothing but the obliteration of your left umbilical vein. Okay, in fetus it was first the vein. No, it was the left umbilical vein. Okay, but it obliterated right now and forms the ligamentum teres hepatis. Right. Okay, so we got the right triangular, left triangular, coronary, falciform, and the ligamentum teres hepatis. Fine. Then here you will see that another folds of peritoneum that is coming from this region, right? So this is your what? Parietal peritoneum. It is coming towards the liver. Then it is reflecting back as a visceral peritoneum. Then it is covering to the liver, right? Then it is going towards the stomach, covering to the whole of the greater curvature of the stomach over here, right? Then it returns back in this way towards the greater omentum, and then it going back again and covering to the superior surface of your, what is that, the transverse colon. This is the transverse colon. Okay, then it is covering to the spleen and returns back. Right, now here we got one sac. No, here you can see this hole is one sac, right? So this is the lesser sac that is present over here, and here you will find another sac, right? Here you can see. So this is another sac. So this is your, what is that, greater sac, right? Now here you can see that here from the liver to the stomach there is the double layer of folds. Okay, double layer of folds that is connected from the inferior surface of the liver to the stomach. Okay, so here it leaves a ligament, right? What do you mean by ligament? That ligament means, here ligament means one structure to another structure. No, the bridge or the connection between one structure to another structure, right? So here you'll find whatever the two double layer of folds of the peritoneum, that will be known as your, this is your, what is that, liver, this is stomach, right? So you can say this ligament will be your gastric ligament. Okay, this is your hepatogastric ligament, right? Now, so if you'll see just at the visceral surface, okay, the visceral surface of the liver, just what we'll do here, we have the liver like this, Okay, this is the liver. So this is the inferior surface of the liver, right? And here you will find there is the presence of your quadrate lobe. Okay, and here you will find the presence of your caudate lobe. Okay, this is the caudate lobe. This is your quadrate lobe. Fine, and here you will find there is the presence of your left triangular ligament, and here you will find there is the presence of your right triangular ligament. Okay, and here this whole area is your porta hepatis. This area is the porta hepatis, right? So this is your left triangular ligament, and this is your right triangular ligament, and this area is the posterior surface. Okay, the posterior surface, and this is related to your diaphragm, right? So this comes under the diaphragmatic surface, right? As I told you, the diaphragmatic surface and visceral surface. Again, this diaphragmatic surface has so many parts. So here you can see this one is the anterior surface, and here you can see this is your right lateral surface. Okay, and here you can see this is your superior surface. Okay, superior surface, and here you can see this one is your posterior surface. Okay, posterior surface, that means the diaphragmatic surface which is related to the diaphragm. That's why we are saying like this. So it has the four divisions: is a anterior surface, right lateral surface, superior surface, and the posterior surface, right? So at the superior surface we got these three ligaments over here. At the anterior surface we got the falciform ligament, okay, and the ligamentum teres hepatis, okay, and at the right that is related to the right triangular ligament over here, right? Now what is this porta hepatis? So this porta hepatis that actually has the structures, they are going inside this liver and they are coming outside this liver, right? That means what, some structures are there, they are just going into the liver. Okay, what they are the, who can say, this is the hepatic artery. Yes, hepatic artery, and this structure is your portal vein. Okay, and this structure will be your hepatic duct. Fine. Okay, so these three structures along with the nerves. Okay, which nerves? The celiac plexus, right? The celiac plexus, that is the combination of your sympathetic and the parasympathetic nerves, and they will enter through the porta hepatis along the pathways of your branches of your hepatic and the portal vein, right? Now at this point we have seen that there is the presence of your, what is this one, this ligament is the teres ligament. So this teres ligament that was present over here, okay, at this point, and that will come towards this side. Okay, so it will come towards this inferior side. It is going from the anterior towards the inferior side, right? And after that, here you will find another ligament. Okay, so this ligament will be known as your ligamentum venosum. Okay, what is this ligament? This is your ligamentum venosum. Okay, this is your ligamentum venosum, right? So the ligamentum venosum and the teres hepatis ligament is present at the left lobe. Okay, just write to that here. Okay, at this point you will find another a big vessel over here, no, that passes through the liver at the right lobe of the liver is known as your
Inferior vena.
inferior vena cava. Okay, so what we got over here at this point, at the right upper surface, you'll find the inferior vena cava. At the left side, you'll find the ligamentum venosum. And left side below, you'll find the teres hepatis ligament. Okay, and at the right side below to the inferior vena cava, we'll find the presence of your gallbladder over here, right? So this is the gallbladder, right? So here you'll find a fossa, okay, that is the fossa for gallbladder, right? So here little bit that is hangs downward, right? So this is the gallbladder bladder, right? So what we got over here, see, we got a H-shaped thing, right? So this H, this one is the upper arm of the H, right? What is this? This is your
Inferior vena cava.
here the lower arm of the right lower arm of the liver, that is the gall bladder, right? And here you'll find the left lower arm of the H, that is the ligamentum.
Hepatic teres.
Yes, teres hepatis, and above the ligamentum venosum. Okay. Now the transverse arm of the liver, that is the porta hepatis. Okay, where we'll get the structures, the vessels. No, they are going out and coming in. Okay, so this is the overall structures that is present here at the inferior surface of the liver, right? So if you'll see the liver, then we'll see the diaphragmatic surface that is actually convex and smooth, right? Here we find this surface is convex surface and that is smooth in nature. Okay, but if you'll see this visceral surface, it is actually concave. Okay, and it is rough in nature. Rough, why? Because you'll find so many impressions over there. Okay, what are these impressions? That we'll see right now. Okay, so before going to that, you just see here. Here you'll find a area. No, a area in between the two folds of this peritoneum, that is the devoid of the peritoneum, right? So this devoid of the peritoneum, that area particular at this point of the liver, that is known as the bare area of the liver, because that is not covered by the peritoneum, like that. Here you will find the presence of inferior vena cava. So if you will peel it out, if you will just retract this inferior vena cava, whatever the area left in the liver, that will be also devoid of the peritoneum. So that is also bare area. If you will just retract this gall bladder, then also you will find that area is devoid of the peritoneum. So that is also the bare area. Okay, and the area behind this ligamentum venosum, that is also the bare area. Okay, so these are the bare areas. Means bare area means the area of the liver which is not covered by the peritoneum. Right? After this, we'll see another what I left. Visceral surface. Okay. Clear. Now we'll go to the impressions of the surfaces. Okay. So for that we have to know that the normal position of the liver and what are its relation, right? So here just I will draw the liver. So here you will find the liver. This is the notch for the ligamentum teres hepatis. This is the notch for the gallbladder, and this is your liver. Right, this is the liver. Now, at this point, you will find a notch over here. and this notch is related to your esophagus, right? And here you will find there is the fundus part of the stomach over here, and this is your greater curvature of the stomach, okay? And here you will find the pyloric part of the stomach over here, then the first part of the duodenum over here, then you will find the second part of the duodenum, and the third part of the duodenum and jejunum, so on, right? So here you will find the lesser curvature of the stomach, okay? Here you will find the lesser curvature of the stomach, this is your greater curvature of the stomach, and this is your esophagus, right? And here you will find the pyloric part of the stomach, okay, and the first part of the duodenum, okay, and the second part of duodenum, third part, and so on, right? Okay, at this point you will find there is the presence of your, what is that, your suprarenal gland, okay, and along with that here you will find there is the presence of your, what is this one, right kidney, okay, you will find the right kidney over here, okay. Right now what we have seen, at this point you will find there will be the impression for the suprarenal gland, there will be the impression for the right kidney, there will be the impression at this point, no, okay. So here what you will find, there is the gallbladder over here, no, this is a gallbladder. So here you will find there will be the impression for the duodenum, okay, and here you will find there is the impression for your, what is that, fundus part of the stomach, right? Okay. Along with that, what we will find more over here, that the peritoneum, no, that is just covering to this liver, that will reflect to downward, okay, and from the inferior border they will come towards the greater curvature over here like this, okay, and they will cover to it, right? So this is the folds of the peritoneum, right? Now here you can see at the folds of peritoneum,
Sir,
yes,
so that would be lesser curvature, no?
yes, this is lesser curvature, sorry, maybe tongue twist, something like that, no, this is greater curvature, right? This is lesser curvature, okay. So the peritoneum, that is from the inferior border of the liver, that is coming towards the lesser curvature, right? So this is the folds of peritoneum, connect from one structure to another structure, that's why this will be known as your hepatogastric ligament. So here ligament means what? Nothing but the folds of peritoneum, okay, so you should not be confused. Now here you will find this part, no, this part of the folds of peritoneum, that is connecting from the liver to the duodenum, okay, that's why this ligament or the folds of peritoneum will be known as your hepatoduodenal ligament, okay. So this is your hepatoduodenal ligament, this is your hepatogastric ligament, okay. At the free margin of here, right, at the free margin, this is the free margin, right, and this is the attached margin, no? So at the free margin of hepatoduodenal ligament, here you will find there is the presence of one of the artery, 1 minute, okay. Here you will find there is a presence of artery. Which artery it is? Hepatic artery, okay. And here you will find there is the presence of one vein over here, okay. So here you will find a vein, that is the portal vein over here, right? Here you will find the artery, the hepatic artery, and here you will find the duct. So this duct is the hepatic duct, right? So these three structures that is present over here at the free margin of your hepatoduodenal ligament. And these three structures, among them this hepatic artery and portal vein, they are going inside the liver. Okay, so here it divides into two. Okay, one is your right hepatic artery, and another is going towards the left. No, so it is the left hepatic artery. Like that, vein also, that will also accompany with the artery. Okay, with the left portal vein. Okay, and the right portal vein. Right. Like that, you'll find the two ducts. No, hepatic duct. The right hepatic duct that is coming from the left hepatic duct coming from the left lobe of the liver, and the right hepatic duct coming from the right lobe of the liver. They united together and forms the common hepatic duct over here. Right. Now here you see there is the presence of the gallbladder. So this is the neck of the gallbladder. This is the body of the gallbladder. This is the fundus of the gallbladder. Right. And here it makes a duct over here. So this duct is your cystic duct. No, this is your cystic duct. Okay, and here you will find from the right side you will find the right hepatic duct. From the left side you will find the left hepatic duct, and this is your common hepatic duct. And this common hepatic duct, it unites with the cystic duct. Right, and here right now it forms. At this point, this is your common bile duct. Okay, this is a common bile duct. So how will name it? See, this is your right. It is left. No, it is left hepatic duct. Okay, and this is the right hepatic duct. Okay, so this will be your common hepatic duct. Okay, and this duct is known as your cystic duct. Okay, this is your cystic duct. So when the cystic duct plus the common hepatic duct unites, that forms here the common bile duct. Okay, and this common bile duct, when it goes downward, right, common bile duct, here it will unite with the pancreatic duct. Okay, here it will unite with the pancreatic duct, and that pancreatic duct and the common bile duct, right, they unitedly will enter into the second part of the duodenum. Okay, so if it is the first part of the duodenum, okay, and this is the second part of the duodenum, this is the third part of the duodenum, right? So this duct, it will come behind the duodenum. Okay, behind the duodenum to downward, and that will enter into the substance of the, this is what? This is your pancreas. No, here you will find the head of the pancreas over here. Okay, here you will find the uncinate process of the pancreas over here, right? And here you will find the neck of the pancreas over here. No, and this is the neck, then the body of the pancreas, right? Here the body of the pancreas, then it is going towards the tail. It makes the tail of the pancreas, and the tail of the pancreas, that is going towards the, what is that? Here you will find a organ. What is that? Spleen. No, this is the spleen over here, right? So this is the position of the pancreas. No, and from this pancreas, what will find? There is a duct coming. No, what is the duct? That is the pancreatic duct, right? So this pancreatic duct and this bile duct, right? So they just united together, and they will enter into the, they will open into the second part of the duodenum, right? This is the thing we will find over here. Right now, what we'll see, another thing, just you take it out, right? This area, okay, you just take out to outside. Okay, so how we'll see? See, this is the anterior. Okay, then we'll see the posterior. So here is a see, this is anterior, this is posterior, okay, this is superior, and this is inferior, right? So at the anterior side, what we'll find? We'll find the portal vein over here. Then we'll find the hepatic artery over here, okay, and we will find the duct. Which duct? Hepatic duct, no, in between, right? So portal vein, hepatic artery, and the duct, hepatic duct at the anterior side, okay. At the posterior side, what we'll find? At this posterior side, we'll find the inferior vena cava, okay. Here we'll find the inferior vena cava just behind to it, okay. So here we'll get the portal vein, hepatic artery, and the bile duct. Posteriorly we'll find the inferior vena cava, and superiorly at this point we'll find the inferior margin of the liver along with the gallbladder, okay. And this is superior, and inferiorly what we'll find? The first part of the duodenum, okay. Here is the first part of the duodenum. So at this point it makes a hole over here, okay, and this hole or the opening is known as your foramen of Winslow. Foramen of Winslow, okay. So the foramen of Winslow, that is the connection between the, okay, your greater sac to lesser sac. That is only the way to enter from the greater sac to lesser sac, right? And at this foramen, why I am telling this foramen Winslow? Because first we should know the boundary. Anteriorly we will find these three structures, okay, these three structures, and posteriorly, just posterior to that, we find the IVC over there, and superiorly the inferior margin, inferiorly we will find the duodenum. And this boundary or opening, that is the foramen of Winslow, here what happens, if due to the intra-abdominal pressure or whatever it is, if the loop of intestine, they will enter from the greater sac through the foramen Winslow towards this, what is that, lesser sac, then that intestine, if that will be stocked inside this foramen of Winslow, then your what is that, foramenal hernia that may occur, right? And that will cause the necrosis to the intestine, that may cause compression to this intestine, okay, and will cause the problem, right? At that time we have to take it out from this foramen Winslow through the operative procedure or by to the osteopathic manipulation, right? We can do this one, right? So here is the point where the small intestine may enter from the greater sac to the lesser sac, right? So just behind to this lesser omentum we'll find the lesser sac, and anterior to this lesser omentum we'll find the greater sac, and in greater sac we'll find the small intestine, and that small intestine may be due to the abdominal pressure, may be due to the weakness of the anterior abdominal wall. That small intestine may enter from the greater sac to the lesser sac only through this foramen. There is no other way, okay, to enter to the lesser sac, right? So this is the point where we can, if any herniation is there, then we can what is that, retract that intestine, because that intestine may compress to this hepatic artery, that may compress to this bile duct, may compress to the portal vein, because if that is the large loop of the intestine that will enter into this foramen Winslow, then that may give pressure, right, compression effect to the artery, vein, and the duct. No, that will hamper the function of the liver also, right? So this is the thing that you have to know in case of this liver, right?